Today we will be discussing about tools that we will be using in our carpentry shop for making wooden joints. So according to the classification, these are your measuring and marking tools. According to the first step of making any wooden component, first step is your measuring and marking. So these are your measuring and marking tools. After measuring and marking comes your holding and supporting tools. So you can see this bench wise. This is your carpentry vise which is used for holding your raw material. The second will be your holding and supporting tools. Third classification, after holding comes the step for cutting. So these are your cutting tools. These all are the cutting tools that we will be using for cutting the raw material. Next will be your finishing tools. After cutting, there will be your finishing tools. So this jack planer and your rasp files, these are your finishing tools. Next will be the miscellaneous tools and the striking tools. So these hammers that you can see are your striking tools used for striking purposes, and these are the miscellaneous tools, extra tools if they are required to be used. So starting with the measuring and marking tools. This one is your steel scale that is used for measuring the dimension and marking the dimension. So whatever dimension we have to mark, suppose we have to measure 3 cm. So we will be measuring with the help of this scale, and this can be marked easily on the material. So this is the steel tool that is used for measuring purposes. Next comes your steel tape. This is also your measuring tool. With the help of this tape also you can measure the particular dimension that has to be marked. Okay. So the next tool is your tri-square. This is the tri-square, and the parts of the tri-square are, this is your handle, or this is the stop, and this one is the blade. So tri-square is used for measuring the 90-degree angles. As well as with the 90-degree angles you can measure the flatness of the surface. With the help of this blade, we can measure the flatness, and for measuring the 90-degree angle, we just have to place the material between the blade and the stop, and you have to keep in mind that no light should be passing between both. If there is no light passing between the blade and the raw material, means the angle is perfect 90 degree. If light is passing, then the angle is not perfect 90 degree. So this is tri-square, and the parts of the tri-square are stop and blade. This is used for measuring 90-degree angles, and with the upper face of this blade you can measure the flatness of the surface as well. This is your tri-square. And this is your marking gauge. You can see a pin, a knife, which is used for marking purpose. This portion is known as the stem. This is used for tightening purpose. So suppose we have to measure and mark a parallel line of 1 cm. So we will be measuring the 1 cm distance. After measuring this distance, we will be locking the distance, and this parallel line can be marked on this round with the help of this particular pen. Okay, so this is your marking gauge for marking your parallel lines. So these are your marking and measuring devices. Once the dimension has been marked, suppose we have marked this much dimension. Okay. So after measuring and marking, the second step is to hold and support this particular raw material. So this is your carpentry bench vise. It is the fixed one. Okay. So the parts of this vise are, this is the handle, this jaw is your fixed jaw, and this one is the sliding jaw. This jaw remains fixed, and this sliding jaw can be moved in forward and backward direction with the help of this handle. So if we have to fix this raw material, so the sliding jaw will be moved with the help of handle in the backward direction. We will place the raw material, and with the help of handle, we will move the sliding jaw in forward direction and tighten. So this is the bench vise that is used for holding and supporting your raw material. So after measuring and marking the dimension, second step is to hold the raw material. So we are using bench vise for holding purpose. Now we have holded the raw material in your bench vise. So after holding, the next step is for cutting. The next step is the cutting step. So these are your cutting tools that we will be using. So in carpentry shop, we are using this saw. This is your rib saw. Okay. This is used for cutting the dimension that we have measured. These saws that you can see here, these are your hand hacksaw. Okay. The difference between your rib saw and hand hacksaw is that this is used for wood cutting and this hacksaw is used for metal cutting. If we have to cut a metal piece, then we are using hacksaw, and for wood cutting we are using rib saw. So when you are using rib saw, so the cutting will take in, means you have to move it in backward direction. And in hand hacksaw, this is used in forward direction. The next difference is that the blade of this saw is fixed, but in hand hacksaw, this blade can be removed. You can see we can remove this blade. This blade can be removed, and another blade can be stuck in place of this particular blade. So in hacksaw the blade can be removed and adjusted, but in rib saw the blade is fixed, it cannot be adjusted. And this hacksaw is used for metal cutting, but rib saw is used in wood cutting purposes. Okay. Next, your tool is your jack plane. So you can see we are having two types of jack planes. This is wooden jack plane and this one is your metal jack plane. Jack planes are used for finishing purpose. Once you have cut your raw material, so for finishing the surfaces, for proper smoothness of the surfaces, we are using jack planes. So this one is wooden jack plane and this one is your metal jack plane. So this is the cutting edge or the cutting blade which smoothens your surface. So we can remove this particular blade. This can be grinded. If it gets blunt, so this blade can be grinded and again it can be inserted back. So this is your wooden jack plane and this one is your metal jack plane. So the parts of your metal jack plane are, this is the knob and you can see here this is your handle. So when we have to use this jack plane, with both the hands, firstly we will be holding the knob and with second hand we will be holding the handle. And in forward and backward direction we will be moving this metal jack plane for finishing the surfaces of your particular material. So these are your finishing tools. Okay. So this tool you can see, this is your rasp file. This file is again a finishing tool. This is again used for smoothing up of the particular surfaces of the material. So this is your rasp file. The parts of the rasp file are, this is the handle. Okay. This portion that you can see here, this is the neck portion. This portion is the neck portion. These are the edges of the your rasp file and this is the surface of the rasp file. So this, with the help of this pointed tips on this rasp file, the material is cut and the surface gets smooth. Okay, so this is a finishing tool for finishing the surface. Next is your chisel. These are your chisels. So chisel is again a cutting tool because with the help of chisel we are removing the material. And cutting means the removal of material. So chisel is also your cutting tool. It is used to remove the extra material. So we are having different types of chisel. The chisels you can see here, this is your former chisel. These both are your former chisel. The parts of the chisel are, this is your handle. Okay, this is the chisel part. This portion is known as tang. This is inserted in the handle and this is fixed. Okay. This is the striking edge with which the material is removed. This edge is striked on the wood and the material gets removed. So these both are your former chisel and this one is your mortise tool. The difference is in the cross section. It is having a flat cross section. It is having a bit rectangular cross section. And second difference is that for removing the material across the grains, we are using this firmer chisel along the grain. But if we want to remove the materials across the grain line, then mortise chisel can be used. So these are again your cutting tools for removal of material. These are your striking tools. We are having three types of hammer. Okay. So we have studied this in theory also. This one is your ball peen hammer. This is the striking face of the hammer. This is a ball-like structure, so it is called as ball peen. This portion that you can see, a neck-like structure is being formed. So this portion is known as neck. This flat surface is known as the cheek of the hammer, and this is the handle for holding the hammer. So this is the hammer used for striking purposes. So this comes in the classification of the striking tools. So second one is your claw hammer. Okay. So again the parts are same. This is the striking edge for striking purposes. The neck-like portion existing here is known as the neck. This portion is the cheek, and this is it is having a claw-like structure for removing the wrongly pinched nails. So this is the claw. So this one, because of this claw, this hammer is known as your claw hammer. And this hammer is your cross pin hammer. Again the parts will be same, striking face. This will be the cheeks, this is the neck under the classification of the striking tools. And here you can see are your miscellaneous tools. Okay, so this is your screwdriver. This is your hand drill. If we have to drill a hole, so this drill can be operated with the help of hands. Okay, so you can see here. Okay, so you can see a hole has been drilled with the help of this hand drill. So this portion is known as your drill bit. The size of hole that you have to drill, the drill bit comes in different sizes. This can be removed and different or another drill bit can be inserted. So this is your hand drill. So these are the tools that you will be using for performing the wooden joints. Okay, so these are some of the joints. You can see we have studied about the lap joints where overlapping is taking place. So this is your lap joint. The lapping has been done on the edges of both X and Y pieces. So this one is your corner or edge lap joint. Okay, so this one is the edge lap joint, and you can see a T-like shape is being formed here. A T-like shape is being formed. So this one is the T joint. Okay, on one piece a groove is being cut, and on another one at the edge of it is being cut. So this forms the T shape. So this is known as your T joint, and this one is the edge joint.
So before starting our practical, we will discuss some common types of wooden joints with their applications. So some of the wooden joints and applications we will be discussing first. So first type of joint you can see here is the lap joint. So lap, we know that lap means overlapping. So overlapping joints are known as your lap joints. So lap joints can be either full lap or half lap joint. So in case of full lap joint, no material is removed from either of the members. Now in lap joint we are having two members, X member and Y member. So for joining in case of lap joint, if it is the case of full lap joint, so no material is removed either from the X member or from the Y member. But in case of half lap joint, material has to be removed. Material is removed before joining of the members. So you can see here in the image, all these images are of half lap joint. This is your corner joint, lapping at the corners. This is also the lapping at corners, but it is your meter half joint. This one is cross lap joint, and this one is the case for dovetail cross lap joint. So lap joint means overlapping, and it is again divided into full lap and half lap. In full lap, no material is removed, but in case of half lap, material is removed. Next type of joint is your mortise and tenon joint. So it is the strongest joint of all the wooden joints, and it is commonly known as your frame joint because it is used in the construction of basically frames, wooden frames. So it is in the case of mortise and tenon, we are having two parts, again X and Y part. So X is the mortise where we are having a groove, and Y is the tenon where a part is protruded outward. So this tenon is tightly fit into this mortise. So this becomes your mortise and tenon joint, which is the strongest wooden joint. It is used in chairs and tables, etc. This is some of the applications of your mortise and tenon joint. In these images you can see this, you are having a wooden box, and for the handles you can see this is the handle for holding this box. So this is your mortise and tenon joint. Okay, this portion is tenon. This is inserted in this where a mortise is grooved. So this is the mortise and tenon joint. Now here you can see a dining bench. It is a dining bench and it is having tenon joints. You can see here on the upper portion, this particular board is fixed to this particular board with the help of mortise and tenon joint. So in this slab, tenons were created, and in this slab mortise were created. So both is tight, both are tightly fit, and you are having a dining bench which is having mortise and tenon joints. Again you can see this particular slab is fitted in this board here. This is again your mortise and tenon joint. So this is your next type of joint. Next is your butt joint. So in butt joint, it is the simplest and the weakest joint of all the wooden joints, and it is basically used to make your boards wider. If you are having a smaller board and we have to make this board wider, so both these slabs, first 1 and 2, will be joined at the edges, so it becomes more broader. So this joint here will be your butt joint. So this is basically used to make boards wider. So this is your edge butt joint and this is your corner butt joint. When the corners are joined of both the members 1 and 2, corners are joined, so this is your corner butt joint. You can see here this again is the corner because both the corners or the edges of the members have been joined at this particular portion. So this you can see this is a table, a bench. So at these corners this is your butt joint. So this is the simplest and the weakest joint, that is your butt joint. Next is your dovetail joint and finger joint. Okay, so in dovetail and finger joints, when you cross your fingers, a strong bond is created. So in dovetail and finger joint also you can see a finger like crossing structure is made. This is your dovetail joint and this one is the finger joint. So this is basically used for making boxes, so it is also called as your box joint. Okay, and it is a corner joint with interlocking fingers, like is the case of interlocking fingers. So also is the dovetail and your finger joint. The difference between both the joints is that in case of dovetail joint, the cuts are tapered. You can see a tapered like structure here. So the cuts are tapered in case of dovetail joint, but in case of finger joints the cuts are at 90 degree. You can see here these are exactly at 90 degree. So in finger joints the cuts are at 90 degree, but in case of your dovetail joint the cuts are tapered. So this is the basic difference between dovetail joint and your lap joint. Both of these joints are basically used for making boxes, so it is also known as your box joint. You can see in this image this is your dovetail joint. This, so dovetail joint is again having two members 1 and 2, or you can say X member and Y member. So one member, that is Y member, is having a tail and the X member is having a socket. So this tail is fixed into this socket, it is tapered at the ends, or as well as the socket is also tapered at the ends. So this tail is fitted in this socket, and the joint we will be getting will be your dovetail joint. You can see this is a box. Okay, so this is your finger joint because it is 90 degree, both are at 90 degree. So this is finger joint. If you are having cuts at tapered cuts, so this becomes your dovetail joint. This is used for making boxes, so also known as your box joint. Next is the miter joint, the commonly seen joint. It is similar to butt joint. We are joining two pieces, but now in butt case both the pieces were straight at the edges, but in miter joint both the pieces have been beveled at the ends, usually at 45 degrees. So we are having, suppose these two pieces, okay, that are cut at an 45 degree angle. You can see this is the X member and Y. So both are beveled at an angle and both are joined. So this is the case of butt joint, but we are calling it as miter joint because the edges are not straight, they are beveled at usually 45 degree angle. So these joints are used in your corners of your picture frames. You can see we are having a picture frame here. So these corners are joined, okay, at these are at angles. So this is your miter joint. Again, in cases of windows, you can see when the glass is being holded, so here we are having miter joint at this particular position. So this is your another joint, that is the miter joint. So now in your practical we will be practically making two types of joints. So first joint will be your corner lap joint. Lapping is done at the edges or lapping is done at the corners. So we are having two members. Suppose this is your X member and this one is the Y member. So the dimensions will be the length of both the members will be 150 mm, means this distance is 150 mm, as well as the height of this member from here to here is again 150 mm. Okay, this is your 40 mm and this one is the 30 mm. Okay, so we will be taking a bar of raw material and cut this raw material to a length of 300 mm because we want two pieces. So 150 plus 150 will be 300 mm. So a total of 300 or a little bit more we will be cutting because after finishing the length will get reduced at the edges. So total length we want is 300 mm. Then this 300 mm slab we will be cutting again in two equal parts of 150 and 150. 150 and 150. So in one piece, this piece you can see this is a piece of length 150 mm. So now this is 30 mm. So at half of this, that is 15, we will be marking. Suppose this is the upper face, this total is 30. So at 15 we will be marking a line for cutting, and the depth, this particular depth will be 62 mm. So on the face marking of 15 mm and depth of 62 mm we will be marking. So along this dimension we will be cutting and removing the portion. So dimensions will be same for both the X and Y, and these edges, these corners will be then joined, and the joint you can see here, the joint here formed is of X and Y member is your corner lap joint because we have done the lapping at the corners. Okay, so this is 15, this is 15, and this is your 62. So this total becomes 30. Okay, here also it is 30. So this is the dimensioning for your corner lap joint. After making the corner lap joint, we will be going for T lap joint. T lap joint means we will be having a T like structure, a T shaped structure we will be having. So in T lap joint, you can see again we are having two members, X and Y. So the dimensions will be, again the length will be same for both the parts, 150 mm, and for this one also the total length will be 150 mm. Okay, the width will be 40 mm, so width will be 30 mm, and the height will be 40 mm for both. Okay, so for this 150 by 30 by 40 piece, that is the Y piece, this total is 40 mm. Okay, so at a distance of 15 mm from here, means this will be your 15 mm. A groove of 15 mm depth will be cut for total, so this will be 15 mm. In X portion, again this dimension will be 15, the depth here will be 15, and this distance from here to here will be 40. So according to these dimensions, we will be removing the material from X and Y and joining both the X and Y pieces to form a T lap joint. Okay, so starting with the practical, firstly we will be making our this first one, that is your corner or edge corner lap joint. So first step for moving on to the practical is the selection of wood. The wood that we have used in this practical is the softwood. So we'll be taking a long bar of softwood, then holding this bar in your carpentry bench wise. We'll be holding the bar in the carpentry bench wise. We'll be tightly holding it. Supporting of the bar has been done. Now we will be marking the dimensions that we know we have to cut. So firstly a 300 mm dimension will be marked, or slightly bigger than that. Okay, tri-square we have used here. Now marking has been done. Now we are cutting the raw material with the help of rip saw. We have used rip saw for cutting purpose. So 300 bar has now been cut. Okay, now we will be doing the next step, that is the planing of the surfaces or leveling the edges. We will be leveling all the edges of this 300 mm bar. Should be proper flat. So with the help of rasp file, we have used the rasp file for leveling the edges. With the help of tri-square, you can see that it is straight. It has been properly leveled. Okay, now we have used metal jack plane for properly finishing the surface. This metal jack plane has been used. Now moving on to the next side. Finishing of this side or planing of this side is done again with the help of metal jack planer. Now you can see that this bar is properly leveled and finished. Now we will be cutting this into two equal parts, that is 150 into 150 mm. We want two parts, x and y parts. Length of both is 150 by 150. So we are using steel scale and tri-square for specific marking purpose. So now after marking, we will be again using rip saw for cutting along the markings that we have done. Now we are having two members x and y. Now we'll be marking on both the pieces for making the corner lap joints. Now firstly we will be leveling the edge so that marking can be easily done. Crossly and straightly we'll be using the rasp file. You can see with the help of tri-square we are measuring the flatness. It is proper flat or it is properly leveled. Okay. Now the next member we will be leveling the next member properly with the help of rasp files. Now both the members have been properly leveled and finished. Now we will be doing the marking at the corners. Okay, so half of this we will be marking. This total is 34, so half of this will be 17.
34 and a half, 17.
So we have marked the dimension. Okay. Similarly, along the length we will be marking with the help of your steel rule and tri-square.
स्ट्रेट मार्किंग के लिए यूज करते हैं। इसको तीसरी साइड से मार्क करेंगे। इधर से अभी यहाँ मैच कर देंगे।
Okay, now marking has been done. So after marking we will be supporting this in the bench wise and cutting will be done with the help of your saw, with the help of rip saw. Along the markings we will be doing the cutting.
मार्किंग है, मार्किंग से अप रखिए।
So you can see the lengthwise we have cut. Now the half portion I will be cutting in this direction. Okay, so the extra material has been removed. Similarly, the dimensioning and cutting in the Y member will be done.
सेम प्रोसेस, मार्किंग, कट।
So now you can see that the surface is not same for both. So with the help of rasp file we will be planing the surfaces.
बंद करिए
जी हाँ ये मैं इसको कट कर दूंगा।
So now we have
साइज का ले लो,
made our edge lap joint, or we can say corner lap joint.
ये बराबर,
जी
ये बराबर, ठीक।
So this is corner lap joint, or also we call it as half lap joint. Next we will be going on to T joint. So again marking will be done. We want two members of same 150 by 150. Now for T joint, on one member the groove has to be cut in the center. Okay, so aligning both the centers and marking the T shape, the groove that we have to cut. On one side, and on another edge half of this will be marking, and make a line parallel to the edges of this particular side. Join the lines on the front face with the line of on this particular edge. Okay, now along this much dimension we will be cutting. So again supporting the member in the bench wise. Now we will be cutting with the help of dip saw. Now the second side. Okay. Now for removing this one, this cutted portion, we can't use file here, so we will be using now chisel and hammer for striking the chisel to remove. So we have used firmer chisel. Okay, place it here, and with the help of hammer we will be striking the chisel from the handle portion. So by using hammer and chisel we will be removing this particular material along the dimension that has been marked. Okay, now you can see with the help of chisel we have removed the material from both the sides. Okay, now the planing or smoothing of this will be done with the help of rasp file. We will be planing this surface. Now you can see when we are measuring, when this is not getting fixed, so we will be filing the surfaces also, the ends of this groove also. Okay. So again we will be leveling the edges with rasp file. Okay, now with the help of hammer we will be fixing this Y part in your X part. Okay, now the joint depth we have formed here is our T joint. Okay, thank you all.